The Minnesota Wild are a professional ice hockey team based in St. Paul, Minnesota, United States. They are members of the Central Division of the Western Conference of the National Hockey League. The Wild are the only one of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area's major professional sports league franchises to play in St. Paul. The other three play in Minneapolis. The team was founded on June 25, 1997, but started playing in the 2000 January NHL season. The Wild were the NHL franchise in Minnesota since the Minnesota North Stars moved to Dallas in 1993. They lost their first game, 3-1, to the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim and recorded their first win against the Tampa Bay Lightning 5 games later. The Wild play at the Xcel Energy Center. In the 2002-03 NHL season, the team made its first Stanley Cup playoff appearance, making a surprising run to the Western Conference Finals. As of 2014, the Wild have averaged a .532 points percentage since entering the league. History: preparations of a new franchise. Following the departure of the Minnesota North Stars after the 1993 season, the state of Minnesota was without an NHL team for 7 seasons. Mayor Norm Coleman began a campaign to either recruit the relocation of an existing franchise to St. Paul or the award of an expansion franchise to a Minnesota-based ownership group. Bob Nagel, Jr. became the lead investor for an application to the NHL for an expansion franchise and ultimately the first majority owner. On June 25, 1997, the NHL announced that Minnesota had been awarded an expansion franchise, to begin play in the 2000-01 season. The 6 finalist team names for the new NHL franchise were announced on November 20, 1997. Jack Sperling was named Chief Executive Officer of the Minnesota team, Doug Risebrough was named General Manager, Todd Lewek was named President, and Martha Fuller was named Chief Financial Officer. The team was officially named the Wild, with the unveiling occurring at Aldrich Arena in the suburb of Maplewood on January 22, 1998. The new name was introduced to everyone with the song Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf playing over the arena's speaker system. The Minnesota Wild announced its first major sponsorship agreement with MasterCard from First USA. It was the earliest that First USA had ever signed an agreement in advance of a team beginning play. The state of Minnesota adopted legislation in April 1998 to loan $65 million to the city of St. Paul to fund 50% of the estimated $130 million project costs for the Xcel Energy Center in St. Paul. The legislation also provided that only $48 million of the loan needed to be repaid if the team met the requirements to have an agreement in place during the term of the lease with the Minnesota Amateur Sports Commission. The city of St. Paul issued an additional $65 million in bonds, with roughly 90% of the debt service on the bonds and the repayment of the state loan coming from scheduled rent and payment in lieu of taxes from the Minnesota Wild. Deconstruction of the St. Paul Civic Center began soon thereafter and the Xcel Energy Center design was announced. A groundbreaking ceremony for the Xcel Energy Center was hosted in St. Paul. The Minnesota Wild announced a 26-year partnership agreement with the Minnesota Amateur Sports Commission. The Minnesota Wild MASC partnership is the first partnership of its kind between a private professional sports team and a public amateur sports organization. Doug Risebrough was named Executive Vice President General Manager of Minnesota Wild and the Xcel Energy Center was completed and ready for use. First 5 seasons. 2000 to 2001, first NHL season, the Minnesota Wild's first season officially started. The Wild named Jacques Lemaire their first ever head coach and the team picked Marian Gaborik 3rd overall in the first round of the 2000 NHL entry draft. Gaborik would go on to score the first ever goal for the Wild in their franchise debut on October 6 at Anaheim. The Wild played their first ever home game on October 11 against the Philadelphia Flyers and skated to a 3-3 tie. Minnesota native Darby Hendrickson scored the first ever home goal for the Wild. The team was not very successful on the ice, but showed promise for future seasons. The most notable game of the year, however, was the first visit of the Dallas Stars, who had formerly played in Minnesota as the Minnesota North Stars. The Wild rode an emotional sellout crowd of over 18,000 to a 6-0 shutout in Dallas' first regular season game in Minnesota since a neutral site game in 1993. The season ended with Scott Pellerin as the leading scorer with 39 points while Wes Waltz, Darby Hendrickson, and Gaborik paced the team with 18 goals each. 2001-2002, the Wild would get off to a strong start by getting at least 1 point in their first 7 games. However, the Wild would finish in last place again with a record of 26-35, 12, 6. Along the way, there were signs the Wild were improving, as second-year speedster Gaborik had a solid sophomore season with 30 goals, including an invite to the NHL Young Stars game, and Andrew Brunette led the team in scoring with 69 points. 2002-03, first playoff run, Gaborik spent much of the season vying for the league scoring crown before slumping in the second half, and the Wild, in their first ever playoff appearance, made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals before being swept 4-0 by the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. Previously, the Wild had beaten the favored and third-seeded Colorado Avalanche in the first round in 7 games, coming back from a 3-1 series deficit and winning both games 6 and 7 in overtime. Brunette scored the series-clinching goal, the last ever on Patrick Roy. In the Western Conference semi-finals, the Wild beat the fourth-seeded Vancouver Canucks, again in 7 games, and again after being down 3-1 in a series. In the process, the Wild became the first team in playoff history to capture a 7-game series twice after facing elimination during Game 5. 2003-04, when the season started, the Wild were short-handed with both Pascal Dufroy and Gaborik holding out. After struggling in the first month, the Wild finally got their 2 young star left-wingers signed, but both struggled to get back into game shape as the Wild struggled through much of November. In a deep hole, the Wild could not climb back into the playoffs, despite finishing the season strong, with wins in 5 of their last 6 games as they finished last in the competitive Northwest Division with a record of 30-29, 20-3. Along the way, the Wild began to gear up for the future, trading away several of their older players who were a part of the franchise from the beginning, including Brad Bombardier and Jim Dowd. 2004-05. The season was cancelled due to an NHL lockout. Former Wild player Sergei Zoltok died from a heart condition during a game in Europe. Zoltok died in the arms of Minnesotan and former Wild player Darby Hendrickson. Post-lockout, Minnesota finished in 5th and last place in the Northwest Division, 8 points behind the 4th-place Vancouver Canucks. Along the way, Gaborik set a new franchise record for goals in a season at 38, and Brian Rolston set a new highest point total by a Wild player in a season at 79. The goaltender controversy between Manny Fernandez and Dwayne Rollerson ended when Rollerson was traded to the Edmonton Oilers for a first-round pick in the 2006 NHL entry draft. The Wild signed veteran free agents Kim Johnson, Mark Parrish, Branko Radivojevic, and Keith Carney. On the day of the NHL entry draft, they traded the 17th overall pick and prospect Patrick O'Sullivan to the Los Angeles Kings for veteran Slovak Pavel Demitra. Niklas Backstrom was the starting goalie for the Wild after previous starter Manny Fernandez sprained his knee on January 20. Fernandez played for the first time since the sprain on March 6 and was removed after allowing 3 goals in 2 periods in the Wild's 3-0 loss to the San Jose Sharks. Josh Harding was brought up from the Wild's AHL affiliate, the Houston Aeros, when Fernandez was hurt, and remained on Minnesota's roster for the rest of the season as the backup goalie. All-star winger Marian Gaborik returned from a groin injury in January 2007 and made an immediate impact, bringing a new spark to a lacking offense. The Wild would make the playoffs in 2007 for the second time in team history, but were eliminated by the eventual Stanley Cup champion Anaheim Ducks in the opening round. Notably, the same Anaheim franchise eliminated the Wild in their first playoff year, in the conference finals, in 2003. 2008, First Division Championship, the Wild would break numerous franchise records during the 2007-2008 season, including most goals and points. Also, Jacques Lima recorded his 500th career coaching win as the Wild clinched their first ever Northwest Division title in a 3-1 victory over the Calgary Flames on April 3, 2008. They again faced the Colorado Avalanche in the first round as 6th and 3rd seed, but this time the roles were reversed, and the Wild held home ice advantage. However, Minnesota came up short, being ousted in 6 games by the Avalanche. During the off-season of 2008, the Wild reacquired Andrew Brunette from the Avalanche, as well as trading for defenseman Mark Zidlicki. The Wild also signed free agents Antti Miettinen and Owen Nolan to multi-year deals. There seemed to be a stigma about Jacques Lemare's defensive system that caused a number of top free agents to avoid the Wild. 2009, departure of Gaborik and Jacques Lemare. Despite winning the Northwest Division the previous season, the Wild fell to 9th place in the Western Conference in 2008-09, missing the playoffs. Much of this was in part due to a lack of scoring and overall team offense, and the injuries to star forward Marian Gaborik, who played only 17 games. Jacques Lemaire, coach of the Wild since the team's inception in the 2000-01 season, resigned at season's end. General manager Doug Risebrough was later fired, leading to a nearly complete turnover in the Wild's coaching and hockey management staff. In the 2009 off-season, Marian Gaborik signed with the New York Rangers during the summer as a free agent. Owner Craig Leipold would hire former Pittsburgh Penguins assistant general manager Chuck Fletcher to act as standing GM. Later that summer, Fletcher selected Todd Richards as head coach. Martin Havlat was signed via free agency after playing the previous 3 seasons for the Chicago Blackhawks in order to lessen the blow of Gaborik's departure. During the first month of the 2009-10 season, the team announced their first ever full-time captain, Mikko Koivu. In 2009, owner Craig Leipold named Matt Magyar as Chief Operating Officer of the team. 2010 present, the 2009-10 and the 2010-11 seasons ended in disappointment for the Wild as they missed the playoffs both seasons. In the 2010 NHL entry draft the Wild held the 9th overall pick and used it to select Finnish forward Mikael Granlund. Following the 2010-11 season the team fired head coach Todd Richards due to the team failing to reach the playoffs in his 2 seasons as head coach with a 77-71-16 record. Mike Yeo, who coached the Wild's AHL affiliate, the Houston Aeros, to a Western Conference title in 2011, was named the new head coach. During the 2011 NHL entry draft, in which the team hosted, the Wild held the 10th overall pick, which was used to select Jonas Brodin. The club also created a stir when they traded star defenseman Brent Burns and a 2012 second-round pick to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Devin Setoguchi, Charlie Coyle, and the 28th overall pick in the 2011 draft which they used to select Zach Phillips. Later in the off-season, the Wild traded Martin Havlat for Danny Hetley in another blockbuster trade with the Sharks. In the month of November, the team set a franchise record for most wins in 1 month with 11. Despite a hot start to the season, which saw them sitting atop the league standings in early December, multiple injuries to key players for extended periods essentially knocked the team out of playoff contention for the 4th consecutive year. During the 2012 off-season, the team was able to sign top prospect Mikael Granlund to a 3-year, entry-level contract. During the 2012 NHL entry draft, the team selected Matthew Dumba with the 7th overall pick. In the same off-season, the Wild also signed unrestricted free agent winger Zach Parise, a Twin Cities native, and defenseman Ryan Suter to identical 13-year, $98 million contracts. However, the team's busy off-season was overshadowed by the 2012 NHL lockout, until it was resolved in January 2013. Prior to the 2013 trade deadline, the Wild acquired Jason Pominville from the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for prospects Johan Larsson and Matt Hackett, as well as draft picks. the team reached a postseason for the fourth time in franchise history after a 3-1 win over the Avalanche on April 27, 2013. Finishing 8th place in the Western Conference, the Wild lost to the eventual champion Chicago Blackhawks in the first round of the 2013 Stanley Cup playoffs in 5 games. In 2013, the NHL collapsed its 6 divisions into 4, and as a result, the Wild moved into the Central Division, sharing its division with not only the Blackhawks but also the Dallas Stars, the Wild's predecessors in Minnesota, and the St. Louis Blues, another major rival of the North Stars during the Norris Division era. Thus, the 2013 Blackhawks-Wild playoff series was seen as the rebirth of the old Chicago-Minnesota rivalry in the NHL. The 2013-14 regular season for the Wild was the best the team had since the 2007 August season, good enough to claim the number 1 wild card position. Jason Pominville became the Wild's 3rd player in franchise history to reach the 30-goal mark, with Mikko Koivu surpassing Marian Gaborik in all-time points for the club. The Wild battled goaltender problems throughout the entire season. It began with Josh Harding leading the NHL in save percentage and goals against average, before being placed on the IR for complications with his multiple sclerosis. Niklas Backstrom also suffered a season-ending injury with abdominal issues. The Wild started 5 different goalies during the year and dressed 7. At the trade deadline, Chuck Fletcher acquired Ilya Bryzgalov from the Edmonton Oilers for a 4th-round pick, as well as Matt Moulson and Cody McCormick from the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Terray Mitchell and 2 second-round picks. In the playoffs, they would face the Colorado Avalanche, who won the Central Division. The Wild won the series 4-3 due to an overtime goal in the 7th game by Nino Niederreiter. The team would then face 2013 Stanley Cup champions Chicago Blackhawks, where they were eliminated in 6 games. Team information, jerseys. The current Wild home jersey has a small imprint of the team's primary logo inside a white circle, which is surrounded by the words Minnesota Wild in a larger ring against a green background. The rest of the jersey is predominantly red, with additional swatches of green on the sleeves. This jersey was originally unveiled as the Wild's alternate jersey in 2003. The away jersey uses a larger version of the primary logo without the concentric circles on a predominantly white jersey. In 2013 the lettering was updated to match the home and alternate sweaters, at the same time updating the sweaters' look to a more traditional design. On August 30, 2009, the team unveiled another 3rd alternate jersey, which is predominantly green with wheat accents. It says Minnesota Wild in script writing across the chest. Logo. The multifunctional primary logo of the Wild animal has been met with both praise and criticism. The logo depicts both a forest landscape and the silhouette of a wild animal. The eye of the Wild animal is the North Star, in tribute to the departed Minnesota North Stars. The question surrounding the identity of the animal depicted has sparked debate amongst logo enthusiasts, earning it recognition as one of the best logos in sports according to The Good Point. In 2008, Nordy was introduced as the official mascot of the team. Ownership. The Minnesota Wild is owned by Minnesota Sports and Entertainment, which is a limited partnership formed by former majority owner Bob Naegel Jr. of Naegel Sports, LLC in 1997. On January 10, 2008, it was announced that the franchise was being sold to former Nashville Predators owner Craig Leipold. The NHLA Euro Unregistered Trademark S Board of Governors officially approved Leipold a Euro Unregistered Trademark S purchase of Minnesota Sports and Entertainment on April 10, 2008. Leipold, a resident of Racine, Wisconsin, completed the sale of the Nashville Predators to a local ownership group on December 7, 2007, a team he owns since the expansion franchise was awarded to Nashville in 1997. Leipold is the majority owner and principal investor in MSE, a regional sports and entertainment leader that includes the NHLA Euro Unregistered Trademark S Minnesota Wild, its AHL affiliate the Iowa Wild of the American Hockey League, the National Lacrosse League UE Euro Unregistered Trademark S Minnesota Swarm, Wildside Caterers, 317 on Rice Park and the facility management of Xcel Energy Center and the St. Paul River Center. He also serves as the Team Unregistered Trademark Governor at NHL Board of Governors Unregistered Trademark meetings. After purchase of MSE, Mr. Leopold sold the Swarm to John Arlotta. Along with the Wild, the group has year-round management rights of the Xcel Energy Center, and currently has a management contract to manage the adjoining St. Paul River Center and Roy Wilkins Auditorium. The partnership also owns and operates 317 on Rice Park, which is the former historic Minnesota club. Community involvement. The Minnesota Wild stay involved in the community through the philanthropic activities of the Minnesota Wild Foundation and its operations to support the game of hockey with events such as Hockey Day Minnesota. It has been celebrated every year since 2008. Season-by-season record. This is a partial list of the last 5 seasons completed by the Wild. For the full season-by-season history, see List of Minnesota Wild seasons. Note: GP equals games played, W equals wins, L equals losses, T equals ties, OTL equals overtime losses, PTS equals points, GF equals goals for, GA equals goals against, players, current roster. Updated July 15, 2014. Retired numbers, team captains. Note: the Wild rotated the captaincy for their first 9 seasons on a monthly basis among several of its players each season, with some players serving multiple times under Jacques Lemaire. After Todd Richards became head coach for the start of the 2009 Euro 2010 season, Mikko Koivu, who was the last rotating captain and had had the captaincy 3 different times in the 2008 Euro 2009 season, became the franchise's first permanent captain on October 20, 2009. Honored members, Hall of Famers. The Wild's former head coach Jacques Lemaire was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1985. On April 3, 2008, he became only the 11th coach in NHL history to have 500 wins. First-round draft picks. Franchise scoring leaders. These are the top 10-point scorers in franchise history. Note: PO equals position. GP equals games played. G equals goals. A equals assists. PTS equals points. PG equals points per game. Equals current Wild player, NHL awards and trophies. Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy, Josh Harding, 2012 Euro 13, Jack Adams Award, Jacques Lemaire, 2002 Euro 03, Roger Crozier Saving Grace Award, Niklas Backstrom, 2006 Euro 07, Dwayne Rollerson, 2003 Euro 04, William M. Jennings Trophy, Manny Fernandez and Niklas Backstrom, 2006 Euro 07, NHL All-Star Team, Ryan Suter, 2012 Euro 13, NHL All-Rookie Team, Jonas Brodin, 2012 Euro 13. Head coaches. Franchise individual records, most goals in a season, 42, Marian Gaborik, most assists in a season, 50, Pierre-Marc Bouchard, most points in a season, 83, Marian Gaborik, most penalty minutes in a season, 201, Matt Johnson, most points in a season, defenseman, 46, Brent Burns, most points in a season, rookie, 36, Marian Gaborik, most goals in a game, 5, Marian Gaborik, most wins, 189, Niklas Backstrom, most wins in a season, 37, Niklas Backstrom. Most shutouts in a season, 8, Niklas Backstrom, best plus// in a season, plus 21, Keith Carney, most time on ice per game in a season, 27-16, Ryan Suter, minor league affiliates. Minnesota currently has 3 minor league affiliates, the Iowa Wild of the American Hockey League, the Orlando Solar Bears of the East Coast Hockey League, and announced August 27, 2013, the addition of the Quad City Mallards of the Central Hockey League. Since 2001, the AHL affiliate of the Wild had been the Houston Aeros. However, on April 18, 2013, it was announced that the Aeros would be moving to Des Moines, Iowa, beginning with the 2013 Euro 14 AHL season, where they play at Wells Fargo Arena and became known as the Iowa Wild. The team's first minor league affiliate was the Cleveland Lumberjacks of the IHL, who folded after the 2000 January season. See also, Minnesota North Stars, references, Stars cannot go home again, Minnesota Wild stats and records, now Xcel to sell interest in Minnesota Wild. External links, Minnesota Wild official website, The State of Hockey.